This is the Apple Watch Ultra, and I really hate that I like it so much. Now, I gotta say, from somebody who's not a big fan of the Apple ecosphere, somebody who's not a big fan of Apple products, this is probably, in my opinion, my most favorite Apple product ever, other than like the iPhone SE. So I like this watch a lot, but I hate it for two different reasons. And one of them is primarily this right here. This is my Citizen Skyhawk watch, and as you can see, it's dead. I got to go put it out in the sun so it can charge up and recharge the solar cell so it'll start working again. But this watch has basically killed regular watches for me. And growing up, I was always a watch person. I always loved watches. I remember growing up having the old Casio watches, having the calculator watch, which of course, who wasn't cool if they didn't have a calculator watch in 1988, right? And then there was like the Mario game, the Nintendo Game & Watch watches. I mean, I was preconditioned from a young age to fall in love with watches. So throughout my life, I've always had them. It's one of those things like you get a little bit older, you get a little bit nicer watch. You get a little bit older, you get a little bit nicer watch. And this is the apex, the pinnacle of my watch collection is this Citizen Skyhawk. Always wanted one of these, and I love this watch a lot. Well, that's where things kind of get off the rails because I love traditional watches, and I've got one that I've been wanting for like 10 years, and I just refuse to go buy it now because I just don't think that I'll wear it, because I don't wear this one, I don't wear my other Citizen watch, because I prefer the smartwatch. I like so many things about it. I like being able to customize the background. I like having my timers. I like having my stopwatch on here. I like having my sleep tracking. I like the heart tracking stuff on there. I like a lot of the different things. I like the notifications. I like that I can reply to my kids with just a quick little reply on my watch. I can be aware of what's going on. I get all the different things. I mean, I get notifications from my smart cameras at home for my security stuff. So there's a place for both of these. And whenever the Apple Watches and smartwatches first came out, a lot of them were really frowned upon. Like when you talk about a professional setting or dressing up, going out to a nice dinner, they just really didn't have the ensemble, and they really didn't have the level of acceptability, I think, in public yet. But now, I have my titanium band on here, and this is a Nomad band, and this is not a plug for them. I do love the company, their brand. I have some good friends there. They're one of the companies that first worked with me when I started doing stuff. Like when I was writing articles as a hobby, before I started making videos, the guys over at Nomad were kind of getting started, and they're like, yeah, we'll send you stuff. So, I mean, I actually wrote a lot of articles about different Nomad cases. I love their stuff. So I have this titanium band. It goes really well with the Apple Watch Ultra. I mean, it looks so good. And of course, it even blends in with the chassis on this sucker. So yeah, I love smartwatches, and I love the Apple Watch Ultra. And that's really, it irks me because I love watches so much, but I just never want to take this off to put this one on. And it just doesn't look right wearing two watches in public. I know, I do it all the time with like my Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. Or sometimes when I was testing my Pixel watch, I'll be wearing one watch on this wrist and one watch on this wrist, kept in two watches on my wrist. So, I mean, I'm not above that. But trying to find a way to work this out to where maybe I could get some time with my regular watches. I don't know, maybe take a hiatus on the weekend or something like that. But the second reason that I hate this watch is because it locks you in. Apple is really good about locking you into ecosphere stuff. I mean, shoot, I record with an iPhone, I edit with a MacBook Pro, I use an Apple Watch, and I love iMessage, and I have 6 kids and a wife, and they all use iMessage on their iPhones. So I have to have an iPhone, and I don't like iPhones very much. So it makes it harder to pull yourself away. Like if you're like, oh, let me pack up, I'm going to go use the Pixel phone, or I'm going to pack up, I'm going to go use the S23 Ultra. Like, most folks have to make a binary decision, like one digit. You got to figure out, okay, is it going to be X, or is it going to be an O? Is it going to be a 0 or a 1? Am I going Android, am I going Apple? And I don't really have that problem because I have 4 active SIM cards, and I always carry minimum 2, usually 3 phones with me. So, and I've been doing this ever since before I started making YouTube videos. I mean, all the way back to when I had my Z10, my Z30, and my Q10, or I was carrying around a Samsung Galaxy S3, also a BlackBerry Z10 at the same time. I've been carrying 3 phones for a long time. Like, this is a lifestyle for me. Minimum 2, but a lot of times 3. So whenever you talk about people who look at this from a one platform kind of decision, most people are not carrying 2 phones, right? You're not carrying an S23 Ultra and carrying an iPhone 14 Pro Max. You're carrying one or the other. And the ecosystem is still, to me, way more built out on the Apple side. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a bad thing from a competition perspective, because if you're Samsung looking in, you're like, how do I compete with that, right? And if you look at the top 10 sales numbers on phones around the world, especially phones in North America, Apple is like 8 of the top 10 spots. And the flagship Samsung phones were not even in the top 10 spot. And I gotta say I'm right, because I said that the iPhone SE 2022 would sell in better numbers than a lot of other phones, and indeed it did. I mean, when I looked at a snapshot I saw the other day, I think it came in at like 8th place, and it wasn't even out the entire year. So the iPhone SE 22, great phone for a lot of people, great value, great pricing, 5G, good battery life, all that jazz for a smaller phone, right? And I'm a big fan. I like the iPhone SE 2022, and sadly I got rid of mine when I got my Pixel 6 because, well, I paid $300. What did I pay? Whatever the price was. Anyway, I can't remember right now, but I think it was $429. Yeah, I think I paid $429 for my iPhone SE 2022, and then I traded it in for like $475 towards my Pixel 7, which I got for like $120 after I traded it in. And, well, I already had the other iPhone stuff, so I was like, well, I'll go ahead and let it go because I need to cover this other phone. So I may get another one here sometime in the near future, because the iPhone 14 Pro Max has not been the greatest experience for me. It's fortunately gotten a little bit better with the last couple of updates on iOS 16. Is that where we're on now? Yeah. So, yes, going back to the watch. It locks you in. And before, a long time ago, when I was like on Apple Watch Series 3, Apple Watch Series 4, I felt a lot more compelled to be using an iPhone as like a daily driver. Now I'm like, well, I don't really feel that way. I've pulled myself away from the platform so many times as a primary phone carrier. Right now, that's what my primary SIM is in, because I've been traveling a lot for basically the last 2 months. I was in Mobile World Congress for a week in Spain. Before that, I was in New York for 4 days. I was home for 2 weeks before that. I was in New York the week before, all over the place. So it makes it very easy for me to contact and communicate with my family, especially like while flying and stuff. You get to use like free iMessage. There's just so many benefits. And like I said, I record all my videos. I'm recording this with the selfie on my iPhone 14 Pro Max. AirDrop it over to my MacBook Pro. I sit down, I edit it in like 20 minutes, and I upload it. It makes my life so easy and seamless. I used a camera before, and it was always, okay, let me position this right, get the mic boom just right, get the cord just right, let me hit the start button, hopefully it records right, hopefully everything stays in frame, hopefully autofocus works right, then take the SD card out, pop it in. There were so many different headaches that were associated with it that have been so much streamlined by just recording with an iPhone. And I basically run a business. I mean, I run my whole channel using an iPhone to record videos with and edit it on a MacBook. And that's just crazy to me that you can even do all that with the smart technology nowadays. So I think that Apple, in many ways, as far as how everything is interconnected and works together and the ecosystem and all that stuff, still has a tremendous leg up, especially in the services department as well, over Android and its components. I know that Samsung's trying to play catch up. Google's trying to play catch up. They've got the new Google tablet coming out probably in a few months. Google I/O has been announced. I think it's for May 10th. And we'll hear more about the Pixel 7a, hopefully the Pixel Fold there. And yeah, Google's making some strides, but they got a lot of ground to cover. And if you look at like the first generation Pixel Watch, yeah, it was okay if you made a first generation Pixel Watch like 5 years ago, but it's still so far in many ways behind what you get with the Apple Watch. And then especially the Ultra, the battery life is what draws me into this thing. I had the Apple Watch Series 7, Series 6, Series 5, Series 4, Series 3, and none of them were seriously part of my daily wear because the battery life was so terrible. And I basically get about 3 days out of this with like all the functions turned on. So that's what finally drew me into this was, yes, it is expensive, but it lasts for like 3.5 days, which is amazing because then it gives me the opportunity to charge it when I need to. You can take full advantage of the sleep tracking, all that other stuff. But it really does irk me because at the same point in time, I miss wearing traditional watches. And I was talking about this on Twitter the other day, and it seems like a lot of other people feel the same way. They like the smartwatches so much, it's kind of turned them off to using regular watches. And maybe this is a big problem for the watch industry, I can imagine. But anyway, the Apple Watch Ultra, fantastic watch. I love it. It's probably my most favorite Apple product that I own. And I hate that I like it so much. But it's just so darn good. So that's all I got in this video. If you have any questions or comments, you have similar experiences, if you're neglecting your regular watch collection, then please sound off in the comment section. I'd love to talk about it. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you guys next time.